Before I begin, I just want to take the moment to thank the Math Forum for putting on this event, and in particular to Suzanne for inviting me to take a risk and participate, even though I said no the first time she asked me. To start off with, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. Some of you know me as a math teacher, as a blogger, as the co-creator of the Twitter hashtag DanMayerFacts. But one thing you should also know about me is that I am not a risk taker. I look twice before crossing the street. I drive the speed limit. I slow down for yellow lights most of the time. You know, as one should. But lots of things scare me. I don't particularly like heights. I kind of hate the ocean. And public speaking makes me anxious. In fact, you should probably know that I'm terrified right now. Some of you, though, may have noticed that in the previous slide, the fact that I'm afraid of things doesn't hold me back. I don't let my fear hold me back. Instead, I embrace it. And, you know, in kind of an awkward way. But the truth is that not all risks are created equally. While I personally refuse to ride on a roller coaster or parachute out of an airplane, statistically speaking, driving my car down the interstate is much more likely to kill me. We have a fairly good sense of the relative risk of different behaviors. Walking is pretty safe. Riding your bike comes with some moderate risk. Base jumping, you have to be crazy to do that. Now, if there was some way that we could just quantify the riskiness of a behavior, that would be really helpful. We could then put it on our Facebook pages, we could include it in our Match.com profiles. You know, I only go up to level 4 risks. Well, I'm more of a level 7 kind of guy. Then eHarmony would never match those two together. When we say we want our students to take safe risks, we mean things like don't do drugs, practice safer sex, don't drive like an idiot. We mean taking physically safe risks. But this doesn't fully capture what it means to take a risk. This only gives us a measure of physical danger. What about the emotional risks that we take? How can we take those into account? Things like trying out for the volleyball team, performing in the spring play, asking out that cute guy from chemistry class. These are all risks that students take, often without an acknowledgement that they can be very scary. They can feel really unsafe, even though no physical harm will result. Okay, but when students walk through the doors of our math classrooms, they're in a safe space, right? There aren't a lot of opportunities for them to take risks. They're not asking each other out to prom or practicing their monologue when they're supposed to be learning how to factor and differentiate trig functions. Well, some of that's probably happening, but there are still plenty of other opportunities for students to take risks. Think about what students avoid doing. Does Sam hesitate to raise his hand? Does Genevieve refuse to put a problem up on the smartboard/whiteboard/document camera? We can infer that perhaps what's going on in those students' minds is that they are afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of looking stupid or of feeling stupid. No one likes to feel stupid after all. But cognitive and neuroscience tell us that making mistakes actually helps us to learn. We understand things better if we've had to struggle to lay it down in our neural pathways. So we arrive at a conundrum. Students don't want to make mistakes, and we want them to make mistakes, or at the least we want them to learn from the mistakes that they've made. The takeaway from all of this is that we have to make our classrooms safe spaces for students to take risks, to make mistakes. We need to normalize mistake making. Things like math mistakes, test recycles, the mistake game, my favorite no, breaking the math. There are so many things that amazing teachers out there are doing to create safe spaces in their classrooms for students to take risks and to make mistakes. Now, I don't want you to forget to model your own mistake making. Will your students believe you when you say it's okay to make mistakes if every time you make one, you say you were just checking to make sure they were paying attention? I want you instead to celebrate the risks that students take both in and out of the classroom. I want you, not just their successes. I want you to share your own risks taken. It takes courage. After all, there's no such thing as a safe risk. Thank you.